Decades of turbulent political climate in Sri Lanka has ravaged the country and its communities. With a large Sri Lankan diaspora in Canada, the conflict has naturally divided many communities in this country as well. For a number of years, the relationship between Sinhalese and Tamil community members in Canada has been strained, and opportunities for productive dialogue scarce. But a new initiative is hoping to bring in some much-needed positive change. And joining me now to talk about that are two of the organizers of that effort, Vijay Sapani and Yulani Hetirachi. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Norman.
Vijay, let me start with you. How does this initiative exactly work?
What we're doing, Norman, is there's a need in the community to create a platform for these communities to come together. A lot of the young people feel a need, but they don't know where to go. So what we have done is we have created an initiative to create professional mentoring, but also a safe platform for youth from the Tamil and Sinhalese community to come together and network among them, but also get professional mentoring from Canadian mentors to improve their own career development.
And Yulani, you recently had your first event, your event where a lot of the Sinhalese and Tamil youth came together to meet with mentors. How would you describe the turnout, and what would you say the feedback was?
We actually had a really good turnout. Pretty much like how we got people to come was there were 8 of us, there were around 7 to 8 of us in the core group, and each of us got some of our friends to come just through word of mouth. And we ended up having like really good feedback from everyone. Like a lot of people just wanted to participate and wanted to hear more about what we were doing.
And Vijay, I remember last week we were talking, I wanted you to interview you before the event. You said no because there's still some security concern, or I think you were receiving threats. Who's behind these threats, you think? Why is there still a security risk to something that's so good, that's so much welcomed in the community?
I think some of it is a little bit overblown, but what it is there are perceptions within the people in the communities to feel that there may be something happening. So it is keeping in mind what people think. So it is not necessarily that is something which is really existent, but there is a perception among the youth that there may be issues which will come. So we like to respect the views of people, and we treated the event accordingly. And moreover, this is the first event, so we are looking at about 50 people to attend the event. And because of that, we didn't really need to publicize it widely, kept it to a small scale, and identify people who actually will benefit and who are interested in the mandate of the event, and we just invited them.
And Yulani, how do you think the positive aspect, the positive vibe, let's say, of this event, how do you think this will translate into a wider community over a period of time?
I think especially because a lot of people there didn't, this was sort of an opportunity for them to talk to people of the other communities. So something sort of new, and it sort of intrigued a lot of people. And a lot of people I know are already telling their friends and family about the event and about opportunities to get involved in the future as well. It's just going to reach a wider audience over time.
And Vijay, how would you describe the outcome of the event where the Sinhalese and Tamil youth reconnected for the first time?
I think this has been fantastic. We were going through the feedback form. Of the 50 people who attended, 34 of them want to volunteer with the next event. And I believe 50 out of the 50 people said this is a fantastic concept, something they needed, they never had. The future events will focus on a broader range. Some of our mentors are Indo-Canadians, Jewish Canadians, and Sri Lankan Canadians. The key issue we have realized is this is not a Sri Lankan issue, this is a Canadian issue. And that's why we want all Canadians to participate in empowering Canadian youth from Tamil and Sinhalese background.
But as your press release also mentioned, a lot of the discord within the Tamil and Sinhalese community starts with what happened in Sri Lanka over the previous decades. Can we in Canada, can we really move forward, or will the politics in Sri Lanka continue to play a role in how those communities interact here in Canada?
I think the primary thing to keep in mind is the conflict in Sri Lanka should not divide communities in Canada. If at all any, it's the people from Sri Lanka who have suffered from the conflict know what happens, the pain of actually dividing communities. The next generation, which is the younger generation, many of them have been born and raised in Canada with Canadian values. While we see that most communities tend to be divided based on history, we want to create a new mindset with the Canadian youth to focus on the future and move on as Canadians and not as Sri Lankan Canadians.
And how do you then sort of fight the other way where a lot of groups are continuing to brainwash youth? The Canadian youth that you talk about that are here, they're still here, they still meet old elder people who brainwash them about what's happening back home, and you need to, in Canada, still fight for that so-called justice. Or how will your effort counteract that?
I think the challenge faced by the Tamil Sinhalese youth today is something that other communities have faced. The Sikhs have faced, and the Jewish community, and many other communities, including the Greek and Macedonians, are what we're doing is we're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We're learning from other communities. That's why we had the CJC and the UJA and the Canada India Foundation and many of the organizations who have been part of this in Canada were actually mentors at the event itself. The second thing is a lot of the challenges arise because of lack of awareness. So our mandate is to provide a safe platform where the Tamil and Sinhalese youth can actually discuss in a space that is very comfortable for them. And that's what we achieved with this event, to provide them a platform which is safe and which is convenient for them to discuss about these issues.
And Yulani, can you tell us a little bit about the professional groups that were there at the event and how they played a role in this?
We had different sectors sort of at each table. So, for example, we had a leader in the business community at one table, a leader in healthcare at one table, and there were sort of attendees at each table depending on what their interests were. So the first part of the event was essentially networking with the mentor, kind of getting their feedback, their experiences, pretty much from their professional life, like what they've been through. And then the second part of the event was talking about Sri Lanka, talking about issues here in Canada, what we could do to further communication between the two communities, and just make each other understand like what each community has been through and move forward along those lines.
Well, I want to thank you both for being here. This is something really good you're doing, and I want to wish you the best of luck. And if any of our viewers want to get more information on this, I understand they can contact you, Vijay.
That's correct.
And the number would be 416-716-1522.
That's correct, Nauman. We have an organizing team, and we meet regularly to plan about if we need to form an organization. For now, that's the number to contact, but we will be having a website down the line. And we're looking forward to more Tamil, Sinhalese, and other Canadians to come and participate in this.
And we'll be sure to publicize that on our show because that's a really good effort.
Thanks, Nauman.
Once again, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And do stay with us here in Omni News South Asian Edition because there's lots more to come, including entertainment news.